Welcome back to Recall the Midwife. In this week's episode, we're going to be discussing Series 3, Episode 3. I'm Becky.
I'm Alex.
I'm Jen. And a quick reminder that this week's episode deals with infertility, mother and child separation, and incarceration. So if those topics are ones you would prefer to skip this time, we understand and hope you join us for the next one. Okay, quick synopsis. In this week's episode, it's Chummy's birthday, and the girls are planning a way to celebrate. When Fred comes in with tickets to My Fair Lady in the West End, the girls are so excited. A big night out is planned, but discovering the tickets are fake almost ruins the evening. On the way home from the pub that night, the plan B, Alex tells Jenny he loves her, and she freezes. Trixie and Sister Julianne are tasked with the job of maternity care at the women's prison due to a flu outbreak among the usual nursing staff, and Sister Julianne meets Stella Crandall, an inmate and expectant mother close to her due date. Sister Julianne connects with Stella, and she learns of her difficult past as an orphan and desire to turn her life around for her and her baby. Sister Julianne does all she can to help her and acts as her character witness when her case is reviewed. It's Sister Julianne's advocacy that gives Stella and her little baby, Peter, a new hope. Also, while visiting the prison, Trixie and Sister Julianne meet curate Tom Hereford for the first time.
Whee!
Kathy Carter is at the end of her pregnancy and is suffering from terrible varicose veins. She's forced to convalesce at the maternity home in the lead up to giving birth, and she and her husband Stan learn a depth to their love when they meet their baby. Last, Sheila and Patrick are trying for a child, and Sheila is anxiously awaiting the results of a pregnancy test. When it turns out to be a negative, they fear a bigger problem is preventing her from conceiving. Dr. Turner knows another doctor who can do some exploratory surgery, and they discover that Sheila's tuberculosis may have had lasting effect on her ability to get pregnant, possibly dashing Patrick and Sheila's hopes of having a child of their own. So, girls, another one with a lot going on. How do we want to tackle this one?
Should we do the Crangle prison first?
Sure.
Well, can I just say something that's completely probably not going to come up unless I mention it?
Okay.
Yes, you may. Yes, you may. I don't know why you're asking permission. Yes, you can. Yes.
You know, when they're all sat around the breakfast table and they're trying to think what to do for Chummy's birthday, and Sister Winifred mentions this new film, The 39 Steps.
I'm so excited.
This is how I know it's 1959, because I have watched every film version of The 39 Steps. It's such a good film. But obviously, because I'm basically living in the 50s, I was like, oh, yes, The 39 Steps.
Yeah.
Can I just say something really bad? I've never heard of 39 Steps.
Oh, it's so good, Alex. You should watch. There's loads of versions.
Yeah.
1959 film. There's a 1978 film. There's a recent BBC series.
Oh, why have I never heard of it? I'm normally quite good on like pop culture.
I am so glad you brought that up, because when she suggests that, I literally wrote in my notes about it, and I have a little bon mot for our listeners as well. So when I moved to the UK for my year abroad and met you girls, the university that we were at had like a university movie night program, and you could for a few pounds like buy a ticket and go see the movie at the
like a cinema thing.
Yeah well no, but it wasn't
no, I used to go in a lecture hall. Yeah
it
was the film club.
Film club in a lecture hall, and so it was kind of like a cheaper alternative, and it was on campus and everything like that. Well, anyways, I thought this was the best thing. And one of the movies that they showed was The 39 Steps. And I went to go see it there. And I remember not knowing anything about it when I walked in. And I loved that movie and the story between the two main characters, who kind of like have like a enemies to lovers kind of storyline in the midst of solving this whole big mystery is so good.
I went to the film club.
Oh, Bex, the scene where they're in the hotel and they're handcuffed together and she has to like take her stockings off and everything. Oh my gosh, don't even get me. Like, truly one of the most like romantic, like, oh, I love that. I just, it's a great movie, but it just totally brought me back to like that moment in my life, and I'm just so glad you brought that up.
I thought it was going to be the only one, but it's just Alex.
It's only me. I'm gonna Google it now.
It's really worth a watch. It's really worth a watch.
Like any version of it, they're all quite good. They're all quite different. There's slight differences between them. I don't know why I've watched so many versions of it.
I think I've seen other versions as well, but they didn't stick in my mind the way that original one for me did. But Anyways, also, can you believe My Fair Lady in the West End, like live? I mean, I know that show gets rebooted and stuff like that many times,
I
but
know. Is it Hitchcock?
Yes.
I know
Mhm.
39 Steps. Anyway, sorry,
Mhm.
carry on.
Yeah, and some of the special effects in the original version are like really hilarious because you can tell they're just like like little cardboard cutouts behind a screen and they flash the light. You know what I mean? It's like they're very, very, very low budget, like low technology and everything, but it's really funny. But anyways,
Should we talk about the prison first? I thought they would have
yeah.
sent Sister Evangelina because after that,
They should have.
I got the feeling it was like, oh, the rota just worked out this way. You know what I mean? Like that's what I thought. It was so bleak though. The prison really made me sad. I mean,
Did you recognise Stella Crangle? Is it Crangle or Crandall?
I had Crandall.
I thought it was Crangle.
Oh, Krangle. Yeah, I did write Krangle in my notes. Sorry.
yeah, it was Stacey Solomon from EastEnders.
It was Stacey Solomon.
Oh.
Is it not? No, it's not Stacey Solomon. She's a completely different person. What's she called? Stacey Slater.
Yeah, I do a really good impression of Stacey Solomon. We're not going to do it now. But yeah, Stacey Slater.
I didn't recognize her. Sorry, guys.
Her name's Lacey Turner in real life. She's a really good actress.
She did a great job with this role.
In real life, she's got 2 kids, and I'm sure the daughter's called Dusty, and the son is called the name of a hat. And I'm trying to think of what name it is.
Bowler, Fedora.
Beanie.
No.
Oh, Pork Pie.
Trilby.
Oh.
I'm right. Anyway. Right, yeah. So
Trilby.
her son's called Trilby, yeah.
Well,
Trilby.
her other kid's named Dusty Beck. So I mean, this
Trilby
woman.
Fox K. His middle name's Fox.
Those
Anyway,
are both not good names.
That's
Sorry.
by the by. Oh, judgy, you remember listening. Anyway, right now, so she's in prison. She's stolen something. She's heavily, heavily pregnant, and she's saying that she's got a fiance on the outside called Joseph,
who's in the Merchant Navy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's going to be back any day.
Any day. Yep.
That chestnut.
And basically, it's a horrible prison. She gets in fights thinking she's above. Like basically, she's got this because she's doing this pretense. All these prisoners are all like angry with her. For the storyline, really, I don't think they really give a.
Well, that one lady is just
you.
spoiling for a fight every single minute of the day. Like she would have fought with, like a broomstick if she could have gotten it.
Yeah, she would have. So anyway, yeah, so she's getting in trouble there, here and there and everywhere, and they're all like, her parole's coming up, and she really wants to fight to keep the baby, and she's convinced it's going to be a girl. Which I was exactly the same, except I was convinced mine was going to be a boy. I wasn't in prison though, might I add. Not yet. So anyway, yeah, so then she's in prison. Then they come along, Sister Evangelina and Sister
Julienne.
Trixie. Oh God, what is? I've had a migraine, people. I'm not that bright today. I do apologise. Sorry. Yes, Sister Julienne and Trixie come into the prison because of this flu outbreak, and obviously you can tell from the way they portray the prison guards. You can tell they're like, yeah, the care here is crap. The midwives don't care. Like they're allowed to work till right. Like I can't believe she's allowed to work so late. So obviously they're trying to intimate that the midwives are terrible as well. Like those poor prison guards were just seen as complete awful. Like it was just terrible. But anyway, yeah. So she's near the end of her days, and this is basically the main birth storyline this week.
Mm-hmm. But it was really sad because even in the first appointment with Sister Julienne and Trixie, at the end of it, as she's walking out, Trixie's like, "Oh wait, did you forget this? Like what? Like I think this might be yours or something like that." And it's a book. It's like a young reader's book, but it's basically like a workbook for learning how to read. And she snatches it away really quickly, and Trixie's like, "Oh, okay." And then like later on, you see a scene of her sitting in her cell, like practicing her letters and stuff, and like reading from this book. And then the lights automatically shut off because it's bedtime. Everyone has, and she just has, you can tell she's just like, oh, okay, well, like I'm trying my hardest here. But yeah, I really felt for her. And I thought Sister Julienne, I actually really liked that they gave Sister Julienne a real storyline the way they give the other girls a real storyline. And she wasn't just kind of like solving everyone's problems, doling out wise advice, like dealing with some administrative headache or whatever like that. She really got to connect to a patient in a way that everybody else gets to connect with on a regular basis. But you really got to see Sister Julienne in her element in a way that we haven't seen too much of before. And also like there's a reason why she's so good and why she, really, rises to the occasion. And again, like, I mean, a lot of stuff happens with this, it's kind of up and down, but like Sister Julianne, like, is like, okay, well, she's got this fiance. Let me see if I can kind of track him down. So she starts following the newspapers and reading about the ship manifests and everything to see if they're coming into dock. Because she says, oh, he's gonna be back any day, because her pregnancy is almost over.
There's a really lovely scene as well between Sister Julianne as well, though. I'm talking about the books with Stella and Sister Julianne, and she's like, she opens up to Sister Julianne, and she's like, I didn't have all the books and everything when we were in an orphanage, like all the books and everything were burned and were bombed, and you didn't have any belongings, so I never actually learned to read. But she opened up to her, and it was just really, I don't know, it was just quite a moving scene because they're both really good actresses.
Oh, sorry.
Are we having a lullaby?
No, Christmas, isn't it? Isn't it the start of Mariah Carey?
Oh, sorry, that was my phone ringing. We can cut that out.
It's not the start of Mariah Carey.
No, it sounds like it, but it just keeps going boop 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 boop. But let's definitely cut that from the episode.
No, we're gonna talk about it loads. Reference it.
No, but it's really good, and I will say I really liked the story arc as well, because like she opens up, so Stella opens up to Sister Julianne about not being able to read and being an orphan during the Blitz and everything like that, and then so Sister Julianne is really trying to kind of look for things for her and do that, and then she goes back and she's like, I can't find Joe on any of these manifests, like, can you give me another piece of information about him? Do you have any like, what's his last name, like, you got to help me out here. And Stella
Dixon, no, she said, I can't find Joseph Dixon anywhere.
Oh yeah, Joseph Dixon. And oh my god,
someone is in real
it's my sister. Anyways.
You were listening to this. She's answering.
Oh god. Okay. Anyways, so then Stella, when she asked about Joseph Dixon, kind of like, what's going on here, she confesses, listen, I don't have a fiance. I made
hang on. No, Sister Julianne. Oh my god, what's wrong with me? Sister Julianne is like, if you don't tell me the truth, I can't help you. So she's like, oh, well, I'm not engaged. He isn't in the picture, but I thought that he could, if I said that I was, going to be more respectable, I'd be able to get my lodgings back. I'd be able to keep my baby. I'd be able to get out and everything. And, but she's like, if you don't tell me, I can't help you. And then the second she tells, she's like, yeah, I'm going to have to tell the truth to everything. Basically, like, dob you into the set.
Yeah. And considering how in past episodes, the previous episode that we talked about, Sister Julianne is happy for a man to raise another man's child.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden she's got judgy.
Well, yeah. But it's also the way she's like, if you don't tell me, I can't help you. Whereas she should have been like, knowing. She was like, basically, she should have said, like, don't tell me, because then I have to inform the authorities. Like, but she was like, if you don't tell me, I can't help you. And then as soon as she tells her, she's like, yeah, I can't help you. Like...
Okay. Sorry, again, I guess I'm just going to be the really like stick in the mud for both these episodes, but okay. Because I'm just going to take the fullness of the episode. So like in that moment, yes, I think Sister Julianne was mad and had that, but having work, when you're working with a client and you're trying to do something for them, you're advocating and you think you have all the information, and then they come back later and it turns out that they actively like didn't tell you the truth. That is really, really frustrating. I've been there before. And I will say, when you were trying to genuinely advocate and when you were trying to genuinely help someone and you've really worked hard to try to make a connection with them, when they still actively deceive you, like, it's very frustrating, especially if it harms the care that you're trying to put into place for them. And so in that moment, I actually had a moment not that long ago at my job where I went into one of my coworkers after just having found out that this client had like really lied to me about a lot of stuff. And I was just like, why do people lie to me? Like, how, I wasn't yelling at my coworker, but I was like, I don't understand. I'm trying so hard. Like, if you tell me the truth, I can deal with the truth. Like, I will never hold it against you if you tell me everything. But like, if you actively lie to me, I can't do my job. And like, it's really frustrating. And I know that there's a lot of kind of like institutional history that a lot of people have, especially if they've been in a care system for a very, very long time, which Stella has. So I understand why she wouldn't instinctively feel that she could maybe be like fully honest, because it might come back to like, hurt her later. So I totally get that on Stella's side. But I also get why Sister Julianne in the moment was kind of just like, oh my God, like I'm so frustrated. I'm over it. I'm tired.
No, I know. And also there's a lot at stake for Stella, because obviously at the start she was like, they can take the baby if you're not married and stuff like that. Like the fact that they could take the baby if you're not married, awful.
Well, but a lot of times too, and this happens in the US as well. If you're incarcerated, I mean, you can't keep your child. I mean, there's pregnant inmates all the time who have to give up their children just because of the fact that they're in jail. And
see, I think in England there's more like mother and baby units there with the babies in prison.
So wait, if you have been convicted, now I know Stella's situation is unique to her, so we're not talking about Stella now.
Yeah.
If you're convicted of a crime and you're going to be serving a sentence, you're allowed to keep your child if you give birth while you're incarcerated?
If you give birth while you're there.
But is that just while they're newborn? Surely they don't get raised.
I would not.
Hang on, we're just going to look now.
I would be really surprised if they would allow a mother to keep her child past a certain point.
Surely they would let them, like if they're breastfeeding. I mean, you could imagine if someone had a really long jail sentence, they'd just be like, I'm going to breastfeed this child till he's 8 years old.
Yeah, 18 months.
Wow, that's quite a long time. I'm amazed that you guys let people do that. I think it's great. I mean, if it's an environment that works, then okay. But I don't think we do that over here, which is a bigger conversation we won't get into. But
let's be honest, if there's space, which there probably isn't a lot of the
time. Well, and I'm sure it has to do with like what they're in prison for, and like I'm sure there's many factors. But
I don't think the babies are in with the general population.
No.
There's like a mother and baby unit part.
Yeah.
I used to watch Prisoner Cell Block H a lot. Which is Australian, and I know it's not based on truth, but they used to have mother and baby unit as well. And I just thought about
all of your knowledge is based on Prisoner Cell Block H
and Neighbours. So 2 Australian shows is basically the extent of my knowledge in life.
I mean, you're practically like like a prison warden at this point. You know all the facts, Al.
True fact. So anyway, so she gives birth.
Yes.
And she has a little boy. She's convinced it's going to be a girl, but it's not. And Sister Julianne, in this really moving scene, had given her Peter Pan, the book.
Yeah.
And so she was like, I'm going to name it Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just I thought it was just really cute.
Oh, it was so sweet. It was so sweet.
And but then obviously she gives birth, and then she's like, oh, and Joseph is the middle name. And she's like, so she was
like, yeah, sure, that's the middle name.
This is where it all comes out. The baby hasn't actually got this dad called Joseph Dixon. She just made him up, and then she nearly basically committed another crime, which is putting someone else's name on the birth certificate. But as Becky is completely right, she actually advocated for that in the last episode, but that's by the by. But so then she's like, oh no,
I mean a totally different situation, but okay.
I know. So Sister Julianne then, as the legend that she is, goes out into Nonnatus house and just basically tries to find a place for Stella and her baby.
Mm-hmm.
In society, it's 1959 still. It's not done to have a single mother especially with a criminal record, working for you or anything like this. And obviously, childcare, it's not a thing. There's no system that's there for them. She finds this place in a hospital for mothers and children, and she'd be working there as a cleaner, but she would have childcare.
Yeah.
So then it's like, go on, sorry.
And the thing that Sister Julianne says, because after she gets really upset about Stella lying, she kind of storms off in her own way. And then, she stops and has an opportunity to reflect about the situation. Because someone says something about, oh, it's really tough, or something prompts Sister Julianne, like she kind of takes a moment to cool down or whatever. And then she says, wait a minute, have I really done what I can do for this girl? Have I really have I really lived up to the standard that I hold myself to is the thing I'm giving at this point.
Yeah.
But she, she's like, wait a minute, no, let me actually like stop and look at this from a different sense and like take myself and my ego out of it. And so then she starts making all these phone calls, and just to jump ahead, because you recapped this already, Al, then you see Stella at the review for her, her sentence basically. And they're kind of taking into account a lot of different things and like, all the different factors and whatever. And they basically are like, okay, it doesn't look good, but you can go off. You were supposed to have a character witness show up here, but they didn't show up, so I guess we're just going to figure this out on our own anyway.
And it's not
And
just about coming out of prison, it's a son's like
it's the
future as well.
baby.
Oh!
Yeah. And they do say, they're like, we really care about, the welfare of the child, which, I think is fair. And then so she gets taken out, and then a second later, as they're deliberating, Sister Julianne comes in and she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I was late, the traffic, and I was waiting on a phone call and everything. And she says, but I've worked this out for her. And the thing that I thought was also great was the two people on the board that are making the decision are like, listen, I know you've really gotten invested, but I don't want you to just be kind of taken away by your sentimentality about, not wanting to have a child separated from their mother. And she said, listen, I've been in a lot of these situations before, and I understand if a child has to be taken away from their mother, but that's not what this is. And I know what I'm talking about. And so here,
I've been doing this for years. F you and you condescend.
I would say you don't tell me what I know, what I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
She's just so powerful and gentle at the same time, which is a really, really tough line to walk. And she completely changes the outcome. She saves Stella and gives her and little baby Peter this new opportunity. Oh,
a chance, yeah.
I always imagine them years later, even though obviously I know it's fictional. I'm making myself sound a bit like I don't, but I do. But I always imagine them years later, because my uncle's called Peter and he's about that age. And I just think, oh, actually, he's about 10 years older. But like, I'm like, oh, Peter, where would he be right now? And he's like, lived this lovely, happy life with his mum. And I often think about that. And then I realise that it's not real.
Yeah.
But I just like it. I just like thinking like that.
Yeah. I just love the idea of them going off to this like nice place where, even though she's going to be a cleaner and everything, they have, like a lot of safety and security and, just a really
togetherness.
Yeah. And a happy and a promising future where there's opportunity.
Yeah. And someone's trusted in it. Can we talk about the letter at the end? The letter that she wrote to Sister Julianne saying thank you. It made me cry. It made me cry hard.
Oh my God. When she sat down with that pencil and the paper with the huge double spaced lines and everything. Oh,
see, my daughter's 5 and she's doing phonics at the moment. That is exactly the kind of writing she does.
Oh.
And it just made me cry. I just thought, oh, bless her. Like, she's really trying hard. And it says, thank you so much from the bottom of our heart. And I'm just like, oh.
No, but heart is spelled Harts.
I know.
Because she says me and
Bottom
Peter
is
are
BOTUM as well. Bottom.
Oh God. She's, truly like, just hats off to anyone dealing with illiteracy, and I know that there's a lot more people out there who are struggling with it than I think all of us realize, but to have to learn how to read and write as an older person, even as a much older child, is so challenging. And just
well, I think that just also showed the courage of convictions, because she was like, I want to do this for my son, and she has. She's continuing to do it, so I think that's amazing. Also, let's talk about the knits. Again, I can relate to this because my daughter's class keeps having knits. It's 2022, and I'm like, put your child's hair up and treat them knits. Like, I don't have to go in with bun constantly now, because I'm like, you're not to touch heads with any children. Do you understand?
But also, Trixie's just got a pixie cut. So how did she even pick it up?
Well, I love the little scene where Trixie's being treated or whatever, and then at the very end of the episode, they're putting shower caps on Cynthia and Jenny because they've got it as well, and they just have these looks on their faces like, and then you can tell their hair's been greased with olive oil.
That's a night in our household when it happens. Me, my husband, and my daughter are all there getting treated all at the same time. Come on, everyone! Yeah,
just every kid is gonna bring home like lice at some point, when they're in there. It's just unavoidable. I had lice when I was in elementary school. I don't think I brought it home. I think I'm just gonna blame it on my sister. I'm sure she was the one who brought it home.
She's gonna listen to the episode. She's gonna be blamed for knits and you not answering the phone to her all there.
Oh God, yeah.
So yeah, anything else you want to say about what she said?
Well, you know what? Actually, that reminds me. I'll leave any other family business to the privacy of
Now we talk about the other birth storyline, which is Kathleen and Stanley Baker.
Yes.
Do you recognise her, either of you? The actress who played Kathleen Baker?
Oh no.
Oh, she looks a little familiar, but I'm not, now that you said that, but I'm not picturing where I've seen her before.
She was in The Inbetweeners,
Oh, I watched the
but
In-Betweener.
oh, it's great. You should watch
Who
it. But
was
also,
she in
she's got a
that?
really famous sister. Her sister's Tara Toynton, who won Strictly.
Oh, yeah, I do know who she is. Now you
Yeah,
say that, I know
yeah.
it.
And do you know who she goes out with in real life? She goes
Who?
out with what's Simon from The Inbetweeners?
Oh, Simon is the like quote the cute one of that foursome. Like Neil is kind of the tall dumb one, and then there's
Yeah, Joe
yeah.
Thomas, the one with the hair. She's engaged to him in real life. Been going
Oh
out for
my,
years. Yeah,
who
yeah.
was
Well,
who
while we're
was she on the
talking about,
show?
Just his girlfriend in it, like a just a
Oh,
little.
right, okay.
while we're talking about who people go out with in real life, should we talk about the curate at the prison?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll rewind. So, okay, back to the prison. Trixie and Sister Juliana are escorting Stella back to her cell, and all of a sudden, this man comes up. I think with maybe the warden or something like that, and it's like, oh, it's so nice to meet you. Like I've been working here, and I had that. Oh, like oh yes, pleased to meet you. My name is Tom Hereford.
I've got Tom Hereward. I've got Tom Hereward written in massive capitals here. Hereward, W-A-R-D.
Oh, I think that's an accent thing because I heard Hereford, but I can see how.
Yes, they often get F's and W's mixed up. What?
No, it's real.
It's Hereward.
Okay, anyways, whatever it is. I mean, I was never gonna know his name really anyway, but but to me, Tom Hereward is like if like a member of a boy band like like had their success and then was like, oh wait, now what am I supposed to do? And then he was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna join the like a religious life. Like he has such like a, I don't know why, I just think of him as like a boy band guy.
And in real life, he is married to Trixie.
Yeah.
And they've got 2 children.
Now, did they meet on Call the Midwife?
I think so, yeah.
I think they did, yeah.
Lovely.
Do you know when they started going out though?
When?
They started going out on the when they went over to South Africa and he actually got engaged to Barbara. Yeah, sorry, spoilers.
I love the South African episode.
Same. But
yeah.
but that's when they started going out.
Well, now do I know this? Is this right that she was with somebody else and then that relationship ended and then she got with Tom? Like I feel like
I don't know.
Oh, anyway, well, yeah. Anyway, that's like all their private life or whatever. But yeah, I just love that they're together. I just think that's so sweet. And Tom goes on such a journey on this show. I mean, he is really a great character.
Well, they've got 2 children in real life, and obviously one was the reason that she just left the last series to go on maternity leave.
Yeah, well, and their first kid, like when she's pregnant in the series that she's filming, when she's pregnant for the first time, it's hilarious because I mean, the things they try to cover her bump with and try to do to conceal it are just hilarious. The woman has never carried so many coats, never put so many pillows over herself. Like it's just. But
also,
so funny.
her daughter has got the same color hair as my daughter, and they look very similar, but they're also like 1 month apart.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. Okay, so where are we at? So
it's Kathleen.
Kathy and Stan. Guys, okay.
Is it Kathleen?
Catherine.
Kathleen. It's Kathleen, yeah. Kathleen. Yeah, it's Kathleen.
Yeah, where did I write this? Oh yeah. Anyways, just a very, very quick story. So, okay, when we meet Kathy for the first time, she's like, she's got these varicose veins. Jenny is like, listen, you can't wear all your usual stuff. Like, it's really hurting you. You have to wear like these special support hose. And she's like, I don't want to wear those. Those are ugly. And like, I want to look really nice for my husband. Like, it's really important to me. And she's like, listen, I know you want to look cute, but honey, this is not a time to look cute. Yeah. Like, you got to wear these stockings. Otherwise, it's going to get really, really bad. And
also, she's probably making it worse. Like, she's
making it worse. That's what Jenny says. She's like, this is actively like making this a problem for you. You cannot wear these anymore. And so anyway, she goes back home. She's doing stuff or whatever like that. Stan was there. I did not really register Stan. Stan was just like, quote, husband to me in this. Well, anyways, and this name Stan just so hilarious. So then she bumps her leg and then she really hurts herself.
Which she was quite dramatic about, wasn't she?
She was painful though.
Oh, did you see the way it looked? They looked that Oh, when they put that special effects makeup on her leg to look like the varicose veins, I was so disgusted. Like it was horrible. Anyways, so she's in the maternity ward. She gives birth. Stan hears her screaming. He's so concerned. He comes in. She's like, oh look, it's our baby. She looks terrible. Her hair is all matted and sweaty and everything. And he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna go get you some things from home. I'll be right back. You can tell he's just completely freaked out. He runs away. He comes back the next day. She's like, oh Stan, da da da, like and they have this big emotional scene, which we'll talk about. But all of a sudden, I saw Stan because she tells Jenny, she's like, look, she's like, Stan could have had anybody he wanted, and I was like, well, really though, could he? Because again, I had not registered. And she's like, so I want to make sure I look cute. Like we've only been married 9 months, and then like I immediately got pregnant, and now I'm gonna, whatever. And I was like, so I was just kind of like, listen, you do not need to make this whole big story about Stan. Like, Kathy, you're amazing. Like, Stan is lucky to have you, all this kind of stuff like that. Turned out Stan was pretty cute, actually. When I got a good look at him when he was doing the really emotional scene, like after he came back again after their baby was born, I was like, okay, Stan, you are cuter than I had given you credit for.
I think they're trying to intimate as well that like they're newlyweds. They obviously got pregnant quite quick.
Right.
They're both very good looking. They're both young.
Right.
And she's there thinking he only cares about her looks when he cares very, very deeply about her.
Yeah, like legitimately.
She gets up while it's still dark so she can get dressed before he's kind of up and awake.
Yeah,
who could be bothered? Christ.
Oh, I just could never be me. But anyways, the thing that made me like really kind of flashback. I had another flashback other than the first one, but so when I was in high school, I read this. I want to say it was a Judy Blume book, but it was called 15. And I don't know that either one of you are ever going to have heard of this.
I think I have read that.
Oh my God. Okay. So the name Stan really stuck out to me because in that book, so this book was written in about this time period, like late 50s, early 60s or whatever. And it's about a young girl who is a complete like flop romantically. And now she's 15 years old. So, I mean, however much of a flop you can be when you're 15. And she really wants to go out with a boy. And there's this new guy at her school named Stan, and he asks her out, and so they have this adorable romance. And one of the big scenes in the book, or one of the big like turning points in the book, is that they're supposed to go on this date, and then he doesn't show, and she thinks she got stood up, and she's just like, what am I going to do? And so in an effort to kind of like be bold and kind of like like reclaim some pride because she feels really embarrassed or whatever, she goes over to his house and is like, what happened? And she finds out that he like got really, really sick, and I think had to have his appendix out, which is why he couldn't go out with her. And his little brother, this scene just slays me. His little brother comes to the door and is like, oh, I don't remember what the girl's name is, but I don't know, whatever, Susan or something like that. And he's like, oh, you're Susan? He's like, oh man. He's like, Stan really, really likes you. He spends an hour polishing his shoes before he went on his date with you. And he just is like always like trying to make himself look so nice. Like, what a loser, but she's like, oh, he really likes me. And I am just telling you, it is the sweetest story, and it's a complete diversion from this episode. But this boy named Stan, like I remember reading that when I was in high school and just thinking like it was the most charming romantic story. And like anyways, when I saw how sweet Stan was being with Kathy when he came back and was telling her how much he wanted to take care of her and how much he loved her, it like reminded me of that little memory from my younger years. And I highly recommend everyone read the book because it is a kid's book for like that kind of age of life. But if you ever just want to like go back to that like innocent, like young love feeling, that book will take you there.
Well, I'll read it. Series 3, episode 3, and watch Stan and Kathy.
Oh.
But yeah, so that was really lovely. And she had a little girl, and they called her Eleanor after his mum, and it was all very lovely and,
Yeah.
But that was the kind of end of that. There wasn't really a lesson to be learned from theirs, was there?
No, it was just a husband like rising to the occasion, which
although there was one bit actually that made me cry loads. So there's a bit where she's giving birth and it's all awful and she had to be cut and that, bleh. And he's waiting outside because it's the 1950s, and he's sat with Sheila. She's like the doctor's receptionist. He's sat there and everything, and she's like, oh, it's the most natural thing that could be when she's screaming. And I just thought, it just made me cry. Like I think it just made me cry because obviously I had a horrible time. And I don't know why, it just really, like, I was like, oh, it's not natural, it's awful. Anyway, so
I didn't like the way I get what Sheila was trying to do, but I didn't really like the way that she did that, to be honest.
No.
That's all.
No. Right, now, other things that happened. Shall we talk about let's talk about the Turners while we're on Sheila, shall we?
Oh yeah.
Who wants to go? Me? Okay.
I've just told a 45-minute
go,
story
I'll
about
go.
my
Go on,
childhood, so I feel like I need to be quiet for a second.
So Sheila thinks that she might be pregnant because she's not had a period for ages, but that's the only symptom that she's had. She's not suffering any other symptoms that make her think that she's pregnant. So she wants to send off this pregnancy test. She needs to send off this urine sample, but then she needs Dr. Turner to sign for it. So then he then has this doctor friend who and I don't think would they have really done this much investigation in the 50s.
I think it's because he has the connection to the doctor.
Yeah, I was going to say it's his pal, innit?
I don't think it's like something everyone would have gotten, but I think he was able to pull some very special strings. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if they were anybody else, they would have just been childless. Well, not that he's not childless because he's got Timothy. He's practically childless because he just lets him raise it up.
he doesn't acknowledge his firstborn, so yeah, basically he doesn't really. They're like, we want to start a new fresh family.
Oh, it was a really sad scene though, because obviously she had the op or whatever, the investigative surgery, and they were like, oh yeah, it's you know the TB's kind of travelled down to your reproductive organs. They said it in a really weirdly way, and then basically, and she was all sad. And it was sad because you know it is sad if you want to try and have a baby, and try, and that's something she desperately wants. And she's obviously had a lot of years being a nun, and you know, so that was really sad. Spoiler alert, he gets happy. But at that time it was awful. But yeah, I thought that was a very lovely scene, to be fair.
Yeah.
Now the other thing we want to talk about is just a few more things. Number one,
oh sorry, it must be so hard for Sheila as well because she's just around babies every day.
Exactly.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Like there's no break from it.
Well, and this is really the beginning of a quite long infertility journey that they go on, which I think is also important to note because it's not like, oh, you know, you have this issue, but we're not really sure how it's going to affect your ability to conceive. And then like in an episode or two, she just conceives and it's like, oh, I guess it wasn't really a big problem at all.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot of like pain and heartache and struggle and figuring things out.
I think the writers again do really like they don't just solve it like they do in some dramas. They genuinely go on a big long journey.
I agree. Yeah.
And also I think there's a scene where is it Jenny? I don't know who's with Jenny, but Sheila's holding a baby and they basically say to her that she looks like a natural and it won't be long. So do you know what I mean? She's just dealing with everybody's assumptions that it won't be long till she's got a baby of her own.
The mom runs in and she's pregnant and she's like, can you please hold my baby? I have to go to the bathroom so bad. And she like just here's your thrown baby out. She basically just flings this baby into Sheila's arms and Sheila's like and then she's like, thanks, bye, and she like books it across the antenatal hospital because she has to go to the bathroom so bad. And then that's when and the baby has the biggest set of boogers on his nose, and so she walks into the like new back room basically and to grab a tissue and she wipes the baby's face, and then that's when the girls say that she looks like a natural and she's like, well, so
sad. Right, we need to talk about the tickets and Fred.
Oh yes, Bex, your favorite character, here you go.
I thought Fred looked a bit disheveled in this episode.
Yeah, we did. I feel like he's grown a beard or something.
But he was obviously cheated, but then he's obviously tried to done a deal when he's sold these tickets onto the girls. Like he's no innocent in this.
Well, also, to be fair, I don't think that's true of Fred's character because he'd be the kind to try and do that to someone else. I don't think he would have fallen for that, but you know. So he fell for some fake tickets for My Fair Lady. You can't say it any other way. That's the only way you can say My Fair Lady for Chummy's birthday. They were all like, "Oh, yoink, we'll have cheap tickets for My Fair Lady," and they go, and then it's obviously not real tickets. And then Peter's like, "I'm a policeman. I should have known they were thin." I thought, "Why don't you bloody look at them? The most ineffectual policeman there is." And anyway, so they go there, and then they go to the pub, and they learn that Chummy's like really good at darts. I thought, yeah, same. And can
I just say that when they're at the theatre and they're buying snacks and then they decide that if they pool their money they can afford a box of chocolates, they're going to literally have one chocolate each.
I know
I'm
not good at sharing food.
I know. Well, it's like, why did you, I mean, they were like, oh, if we pool our resources, I'm like, girls, you guys all should have brought way more money. Also ask your like boyfriends or husbands for cash too, like get the men to pay for stuff.
So the man and woman that sold Fred the tickets are down on the dock. So they're basically trying to run the scam again. And Sister, who's with Sister Evangelina when she sees them?
No one, I don't think.
I'm sure someone's with her. Anyway, so she
Yeah.
confronts them and
Yep.
gets their money back. But I thought Sister Evangelina should have tried to see if they would have, like, would they have run that scam on a nun?
I think she was just a bit like,
I
Odin,
just
you.
love, I just love when Sister Evangelina like brings Fred into the girls, and she's like, "Don't you have something to say?" And he's like, and it's like it's just even though Fred is like either her age or like maybe even a little older, it's like very much like a mom bringing the kid in after they've done something back, and it's like, "What did we talk about? What are you gonna tell these guys now?" And it's very like Johnny has something to say to you all. Okay, Johnny, you go ahead. It just was so.
Oh, but also she was such a badass getting the tickets. I just loved it.
Oh my gosh. Like she is absolutely, yeah, like no one is gonna, yeah. She's
No
so
one's gonna.
powerful.
Now also we should talk about, because there's one bit we missed, but it's also kind of part and parcel of the next book we talk about anyway. But at the theatre, Trixie was on call, but she had a Campari before, and they were all getting ready and stuff. But also Trixie was a bit troubled. And Chummy was like, "Oh, what's up, old bean?" You know what I mean? Trying to get her to be all thing. She was like, "Oh, is it the prison and stuff?" And it's kind of showing that Trixie's kind of taking her problems with her a bit. And she was like, "Oh, I should have had another Campari." So it just kind of shows Trixie's having some complications of her feelings and stuff. And you saw her be sad that she was single when the others had boyfriends and stuff. And it's just showing a bit of complexities within Camp Trixie.
Well, and Jenny says, she's like, "Oh, you're gonna have one? Like, aren't you on call?" And she's like, "Oh, I can still have one, you know." And it's like, oh, that like the loosening of those boundaries and stuff like that is kind of the it's like like the road to hell is paved with good intentions, like it's like the minute you start kind of like making those compromises, you just know you're on a slippery slope.
So that's one to note for future episodes. But also, speaking of Jenny, Alec told Jenny that he loved her.
And
she just panicked.
Well, that's the kind of thing I would do. She was really awkward and said, "I think that actually happened to me as well before. Thank you." Like just awkward.
Saying thank you after someone says "I love you" is like, I've seen that in so many movies and TV shows, and it is, I mean, it's not the worst thing you can say, but it is also.
But in the 50s though, their courtship has been quite. I mean, they've been going out
over 6 months.
Well, no, but is it 6 months, or did they reference 6 months a few episodes ago?
Yeah, they referenced it, so it's over 6 months. Yeah, because they referenced that a few episodes ago.
So I just think in the 50s, surely they should be married by now.
Well, that's exactly Jenny's thing. She's like, "Look, she's like, I do really care about him. I really, really like where we're at." She's like, "But I'm young. I want to do what I want to do." And I think she thinks that if she gets further along in that relationship, like engaged / married / like, she's like, "I can't prevent a pregnancy, like if I get married, I'm going to be stuck at home. I'm not going to be able to work." Like,
but she's like, "I'm young. I don't want that yet."
She's like maybe down the road, and Alec is amazing, but like, she's like, I mean, and it's sad because it's like, if I do this one thing, then this whole other part of my life, the big part of my life, just that door completely closes.
But Chummy's just come back. She knows that's not the case.
Oh,
that's actually a very good point.
Also, just say to Alec.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, just say to Alec, he's a very modern man.
I don't know if Alec is. I like Alec, but I mean,
I really like Alec because he was like so lovely. He was such. Do you know what I really liked about him? Like, he could have been like a real, just horrible about the whole situation and be like, "Oh, I told you I loved you," and all this, or be all petulant and stuff. But what he did was buy 2 tickets, front row tickets to My Fair Lady. And he was like, "I understand it. I'm sorry, I take it back. I didn't want to put pressure on you. And I really, really like you." I just thought that was so cute of him. And so kind of made up without her really having to resolve any of her issues of being non-committal.
Yeah, he basically put like a temporary stopgap on any like actual real, discussion they were going to have.
Like that, because then I wouldn't have to deal with it. So
well, it's nice for the moment. Yeah, I mean, if they, like it's not a way to really go about things in the long term, but at the moment, sure.
It's worth 41 years.
Also, can I just say, like, I know Chummy really loves Peter, and that she's very happy, and she loves young Sir, and like all of that, and it's all wonderful, whatever.
Young
but the thing is, like, the last 3 episodes, she's made like really active you know, like I don't want to use the word complaints, but like she's like, yeah, this is really tough, and I'm not really sure that I'm always suited to it. And she's like, and I'm also not sure I really always like it. And like I feel overwhelmed, I feel burnt out. I don't know that I really want to spend like time doing all this like you know what I mean? Like it just I get that like Chummy's happy and everything like that, but I think it's also like it's not all it's cracked up to be in terms of like what it's
and it's quite refreshing
to that.
Yeah. And especially in 1950s where it's like everything just goes to the wife, like it's still
1950s. That's only happens in 1950s. Yeah.
Well, I mean, now it still does too, but at least now it's more like you can try to have a conversation. I mean, it's not the same where like if you brought it up to your husband back then, it'd be like, wait, what are you talking about? Like, why in the world would you ever think that I would come home after a long day's work and like spend time like slaving over dinner? Like that would just never happen. Like, don't even think about it. Whereas now, like, it is a different conversation. I'm not saying women still don't do most of the work. I think they definitely do.
And Oakley, the jewel bird, and look it up, everyone. Okay. That's a sociologist. Anyway, right, I think this means it is a natural time for the heroes and zeros of the week.
Yep.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. Okay. Oh gosh. Okay. Oh brother, I just said that and now I'm gonna do this nonsense. Okay. I like to do my zero first, because then I think I can always be positive to close out. You guys, that women's prison was just so bleak. It was so terrible. I just, there's a way to deal with people who have to serve a sentence for committing a crime, and there's a way that that can be I don't want to, not positive, but there's a way that can be a productive and rehabilitative time or experience, and there's a way that there's definitely a lot more ways that it cannot be those things, and this prison was in the not category. And I feel like America has a very, very, very complicated situation with incarceration and crime and punishment. And so I just thumbs down on that whole women's prison. I didn't like the way they handled a lot of that stuff. Would prisons
ever be a thumbs up though? But carry on, that's fine.
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's a whole bigger conversation, and I definitely have a lot of misgivings about a lot of it. But yeah, I mean, they're like, that whole conversation is massive, and but this situation just made me sad. I was just sad to see those women kind of being treated that way in this prison. So definitely a zero for me. A hero, and this actually was a scene I really liked because I just thought it was really cute. Like, so Peter gets the babysitter for the My Fair Lady night to come early because he knows that Chummy really likes the getting ready part of the girls' evenings. And I love the getting ready part of girls' evenings, and I think they're so fun. But so I love the girls getting ready and like them sitting down and having a drink while they're putting on makeup and like floofing hair and stuff like that. But the thing that I actually want to give a hero to is Peter and Alec having a little conversation at the bottom of the stairs, kind of like, what do they even do up there? Like, all I have to do is put on a suit. Like, oh, I think there's a lot of stuff happening, but I'm never really sure what it is. And like, and then Alec giving Peter the handkerchief because he thinks that, like, what is it, Jeffrey is the kid's name? Anyway, that Peter's son has like thrown up on him before he left the hospital. He's like, I just had this dry cleaned. Like, it was I just thought the whole thing was like kind of adorable. And so yeah, I just thought, and that's not a scene we get to see very often, and like, and it was nice to see those two guys kind of like getting to have a little bit of a kind of camaraderie there. So anyways, I thought that was
nice. My zero is also going to be the prison, and I was thinking that the fact that the female guards are so uncaring of the female inmates, but now that I've thought about it as we've recorded this podcast, the fact that those prison guards are still working, like they've obviously not married and had children of their own.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, well, they must be able to sympathize with these women that they're having to give up their children. Like, they must know what that, but actually they probably don't, because they wouldn't have been able to carry on working. And especially, I mean, it's one thing for Chummy to come back as a midwife, but there's no way that they would be married and be working as a prison guard.
Yeah, no, you're totally right.
So they were a zero, but now I think I kind of understand it a bit more. But they could still empathize.
Got some empathy. Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
Well, not just dragging the women back to like their hard labor, you know, even though she's just passed out because she's like 9 months pregnant. I mean, my God.
Yeah. And then my hero has just gone clear out of my head. What was my hero? Oh, it was going to be Sister Evangelina, because I just think with the My Fair Lady thing, like she thought like it's entertainment, but I just think the fact that she actually stepped in when they'd lost the money on those tickets, like she went above and beyond.
She was a heroine. I loved it. And that was going to be my hero. So I can't do that now. My zero is going to be the parole board for how they... Well, no, the woman off the parole board, really. She was awful, like the woman at the prison. Like, she was just bloody awful the whole way through to Stella Krangle, to everyone. But to Stella Krangle, like, just from the start, like, just so defeatist. My hero is going to be Stella Krangle for stepping up and doing what she said she was going to do. With the learning to read, with that letter just made me very emotional. And I just thought, good on you, because, you know, she's actually said she wanted to do that. She said she wanted to do that for her son, and she's showing that she is. So good on her. That was amazing. She is my hero.
Yeah. Love it.
So, yeah. So thank you so much for listening, everyone. Next week, it's going to be series 3, episode 4.
Yeah. And also, these episodes are airing all around the holiday time. So probably by the time y'all hear this, you probably have already celebrated Christmas. You probably already rung in the New Year. And we just want to say, you know, we hope everyone had a wonderful, wonderful holiday. And we're going to be so excited to be back and doing this podcast again in 2023.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. See you next
year. Isn't that wild?
Everyone.
Yeah. We're really winding it all down. It's amazing. We've been doing this podcast for now like about 6 months.
That's mad.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening, if you're still listening.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Oh, the listeners are the real heroes and joys of us being able to do this, being able to connect with people.
Yep, heroes, not zeros.
Just like your sister again, Jen.
Yeah, your sister's a zero because she is answering the phone. She brought knits into the house. Anything else?
Oh, there's a laundry list. No, I love my sister very, very, very much, and we're going to be together over the holidays, and I'm excited to see her and be with her. And I hope everyone has a wonderful. Yeah, I wonder if everyone has I hope everyone has a really good holiday.
Do you know what would be a great present? Following us online, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Oh yes,
giving us a review.
Yeah, that would be really great if everyone would do that, or if you haven't already.
Yeah. Okay, thank you so much for listening, and goodbye.
See you all soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.